Welcome to Deep Thoughts While Driving. Me, myself, and I, Tony here. Deep thought for the day. First aid. Do you have it? And if not, why not? Say this because today is Thursday. I'm heading to work, and yesterday work paid me to renew my first aid. So I spent the day, well, 8 to 4:30 on my day off doing training, first aid training. It was pretty easy peasy. I mean, I've been a carried for 15 years. I have had my first aid, my level 1, my survival, my emergency, whatever the hell you want to call it. My level 1, basically nothing but bare basics first aid since, well, let me see, I've been a carried for 15 years, and I had to have it before my course started, so I've had it for 16 to 17 years. I have consistently had my first aid. Luckily, I have never had to use it in an emergency situation. I mean, I've had to, doctor up and bandage up the wife and the kid from time to time at home, splinters, cut yourself with a knife, minor, nothing ever needing anything to have to go to the hospital, thank God, knock on wood. But in the 16 plus years, 15 plus years that I've had my first aid, I have never had to use it for any major, life-threatening reasons, which makes me very, very happy. It's a grand example of I'd rather have it than not need it, than need it and not have it. So, yeah. I understand that for some first aid courses it's kind of expensive. This one was $195. Work paid for it. So I showed up, did it, got the certificate, walked out the door. It took 8.5 hours out of my day, but it's worth it. It's also required by my employer and by my job in general. So, that doesn't hurt either. But still, in an emergency situation, I know how to do CPR. I know how to use those AED machines. I mean, really, they're kind of dummy simple. You open it up, what do I do? Oh, look, it has instructions. Push the green button, do this, follow the prompts. Push the green button. It talks to you, tells you what to do. So you do as you're told. As long as you can do what you're told, you're, golden, really. So they're not actually hard things to use. But it's still something that, my wife, she works in a bowling alley. Well, bowling alley, pool hall, I guess. Black Diamond Bowling Billiards. They got bowling upstairs and downstairs. They got 18 pool tables, a snooker table, and a 9-ball table or whatever. Pool on the main floor and darts, anyhow. So there's anywhere from kids all the way up to senior citizens in there. And I believe that there's no reason why she shouldn't have everybody who works there as an employee, they should all have their first aid. This way, no matter what's going on, you've always got someone on each floor who has their first aid in case something happens. What if someone starts choking? Oh my God, it's little Billy's 8th birthday, and he's being a fat fucking pig and choking down the birthday cake, but he's choking and he can't breathe. Does anybody know first aid? The company can go, yes, every employee here does, so everybody can jump in and, anybody can jump in and help. Could save a life. Really, I mean, seriously, it's first aid. It's what I learned at my level is, being the basic level, it's how to keep you alive, the minimum to keep you alive until the paramedics, the EMTs, the first responders, the guys in the fire trucks, like for them to show up. The people who really know what the hell they're doing. Basically, my job is to, with my first aid, is to keep you breathing, keep your heart pumping, keep you alive until the professionals show up, and then they go from there. So it's CPR, keep the heart pumping, keep air in your lungs. You know, you've cut your arm off, how to apply a tourniquet, how to keep you from bleeding to death long enough for the professionals to show up and put you back together and save your life. Or save your limb, depending on the case. But it's basically keep you alive until the professionals show up. So, hey, that is a highly useful skill. It is possible that with my training I could save a life if someone's choking. Or, you know, whatever the case happens to be. It's not a huge thing. It's 8 hours. It is a skill that if you have it on your resume saying you have level 1 emergency first aid or survival first, I think emergency first aid, the one I did, because they've changed the names around and everything, the one I did is emergency first aid, so EFA, and then the other people who were there, they were there for the 2-day course, which is survival first aid or safety first aid. I think it's safety first aid. They get a little bit more in depth with how to handle things like if a kid's poisoned or stuff like that. I mean, I learned how to do CPR on infants, children, and adults, but they get a little bit more in depth in it. So I still got the same book that they got. You have to pay for the books now. They used to give them away, but people just turfed them when they went out the door. So now they loan you the book, and if you want to have a book, you have to buy it. So I dropped 20 bucks and picked up 2 books. My plan is to have one at home, probably in my work bag, so, you know, well, no, probably at home, because I know my stuff. I wouldn't need it, for the most part. But yeah, have one at home, so, you know, in case of emergency, my wife can grab it, flip it open, and, you know, what do I do, what I would do? You know, she's got access to the information. The other one I'm either thinking about sticking in my work bag or giving it to my daughter, because she doesn't have her first aid, but she's looking for work and she's having a little trouble finding work, and I'm thinking I might just send the wife and daughter to the same company I went through, the company my company put me through, and just pay for both of them to get their first aid, because the wife's had it years and years and years ago, but it's totally changed. I mean, she hasn't had it. She had it back when she was a girl, God, for Christ's sake. So I mean, like, she's totally out of date, and I don't know if my daughter's ever had it. And because it's got the infant and child first aid in there, CPR in there, it could be something that could save my son's life, could save my granddaughter's life if my daughter has it. And it also looks great on a resume, so it'd be easier for her to get a job. Thinking about doing that. Haven't decided yet. Probably going to do it because I think it would be a good idea for both of them to have it, and I'll just put it on the credit card and pay for it. I don't really want to put it on a credit card, but you know, it's one of those things that it's one of those unnecessary but necessary. It's a necessary expense. It's not absolutely essential, but it's something that would be really, really super good for both of them to have. So it's kind of a necessary expense, and just pay for it for them. But if you don't have your first aid, any level of first aid at all, I mean, even the lowest level first aid, emergency first aid, which is what I have, I want to get a little higher up in levels, you know, learn some more skills, maybe in an emergency situation be able to deal with an actual trauma, maybe be able to stitch someone up if need be. If I'm out camping, you know, hiking and camping at something, and I cut my leg open, you know, I know how to patch myself up to keep myself from bleeding to death, but what if it's deep, really bad, and I need stitches? Well, by the time I get myself from out hiking or camping and to, you know, emergency services, or God forbid the hospital, the emergency room, it could be hours or even longer later. You know, hours to days, depending on, you know, what's going on. So that being the case, it's too late for stitches. So it's something I'm thinking about doing for me, for extra knowledge. I've had for this basic low-level first aid for so long, I'm seriously thinking about just upgrading and getting that little extra more. Just go up to the next level and maybe, you know, go back to the same company and pay to do the second day when my wife and daughter are there, because I'll send them for both days. They'll have a higher level than me, and I'll get the second day, and we'll all do it together. And see how that goes. Kind of upgrade. But it could literally save a life. It could save your own life. It could save the life of a friend or a loved one, just by having that basic CPR knowledge. Do you know what to do if someone's choking? Someone's popping, you know, grapes down like there's no tomorrow, and next thing you know, they're choking to death, and they stop breathing. Do you know what to do to keep them alive, to possibly save their life? I mean, it could be a mother, it could be a father, brother, sister, significant other, a loved one. You know, we don't need to lose these people. And all it takes is a simple, small amount of knowledge to, you know, possibly save a life. I don't know. Something to think about. But I'm at work. That's my deep thought for today. Later.